This time we shine with Second Pesachim in the article Osber edition. We're on Daf Ayin Dal Amav 8 lines at the top. Also be a vote, and in the Vilna we're on Samach Beis and Beis. The third line at the top. Also be a vote. Now there's the gears we have in front of us, and then there's the gears of the Shaitaris Eretz Yisrael. The Shaitaris Yisrael's gears happens to work out a little bit better in certain respects. So then we're going to go through both Girsas. First, we're going to Girsa in the Gemara in front of us, and then I'll go back to Shaitaris Yisrael's Girsa. So yesterday we said, according to Rebbe, you have manias up to 3 days. The last line said that Rebbe, if you don't bear it to 3 days, is also is only until for 3 days. Now that Asa Shem Yocharav, no, that the Issa of the Oinit to eat Kachim only goes to the end of the first day. If he's not buried during the day, he can eat Kachim at night. Patani Kane, and we'll just Brisa. Rebbe Mei Telech She'en Anilus Laila Torah. Rebbe says Anilus Laila is not the Raisa. They said Oinit Oteva Chopis Laerav. He can eat based on night. Varei Anilus Yom, so clearly only Anilus Yom also so Torah, not Anilus Laila. Right, so clearly he is Meir Chachamim that that at night, it could be the next day during the daytime becomes only the Raisa again, but at that night he's only Rabbanan and he's allowed to eat kosher. Rabbi Yisrael Boom Shem Rabbi Shulisa said no, not necessarily. It could be Rabbi Yisrael and Yisrael. It's normally the Raisa, but here and it goes on for 3 days straight. But here Tipatim Shnik Ben Chama. Here the burials took place right before nightfall, and therefore since it happened by nightfall, so therefore there's no, we don't know any case where the mace is not buried by nightfall. What's the status going to be at night? And of course, the question is why they picked the case of do mechama. Obviously, we should say Rebbe if he's buried during the daytime. Okay, but even if Nikbar had to do mechama, then the avails of course terminate even for Rebbe because the mace is buried. Now, according to the Shaitaris Eretz Yisrael, we changed the Girsa here because Rebbe's, according to the Bavli, and the Bavli in Zvach Daf Kufar Beis, Rebbe's always the Chumrah. So he's going to extend on his further, and he doesn't make it shorter. And how so? So then, according to the Girsa, says Moed Rebbe Chamim Asakoyam Kula. That on the first day, even the mace is buried midday, nevertheless, the Isser of Aninus continues to the end of the day. And Rebbe's more machmir, says it goes beyond the end of the day. So it goes into nighttime. So then when I ask, how can you say this? I go say, according to Rebbe, it goes into the nighttime. But Tani K, right? The Rebbe's machmir goes to nighttime. Rebbe himself said, to Teichash Aninus Lael Torah. Shamru Amru Onen Tava Vacha B'Yisrael Erev. Right? The Harayaninus Yomas is Torah, not at night. So I can say according to Rebbe, it goes for 3 days. So yes, Abu said, Tipatashi when you do Milchama, right? We're talking about a case where it was buried mamish right before nightfall, right? And therefore, that's why it's mutzah to eat it at night. There's a Shlomi Klum. And you can't hear anything here. In a normal case, where he wasn't buried right before nightfall, right? Then the Rebbe would Taka say he's in at night and he can't eat the kosher. So why I say it gets to do mechamat itself. Even his nikbar as the sun is setting, Rebbe says okay, but still once he's buried, he's buried. He's allowed to eat kosher at night. So if the mace is not buried, that it continues to go on for the 3 days. Okay, those are 2 different versions. Again, like we have more in front of us, and then continue from there as a statement and a rejection. And then the other alternative Shaita as well that the Rebbe is Chachamim that it's Oskolim Kula, but Chachamim holds 3 days. And the Gemara asks question, how can you say it? What about when he's at night? Says Rebbe can say either base night. And the Gemara says that's Nikbar even Mamash Shkischam, but he has to be buried ahead of time. Otherwise, Rebbe couldn't eat even at night. Okay, says Gemara Rebbe Avo Shem Lord said Ein Aninus Elo L'Meisabat. There's no such thing as an onen, which that language only applies to somebody who underwent a death in the family. See, it says v'anu v'ovlu p'sachel. The Korban says shlo yuz chorim shom lishmor ir shemesa kulam. There will be aninus and avelus in the door in the gateways. I guess in Yerushalmi since Yeshaya, and because everybody has died. So there's aninus on the mason. It sounds like it's Yerushalmi. Anyway, Hasiv Rabbi Chia Barado, Rabbi Chia Barado doesn't say V'anu hadayagim, or the fishermen will be in aninus. And all the people cast their hooks into the river, or other fishermen obviously will be in mourning, right? So we see aninus, lashim aninus by fishermen mourning the loss of their fish, right? So this is a way to learn the brisa, which says that there's although it's not really a brisa, it's Rabbi Lo named Rabbi Lazar, but okay, so find the Yerushalmi sometimes it says masnisa means a gemara. King masnisa and aninas tmeya el mezabat. There's no such thing as aninas, which has an issue of tumah. That's a better for eating korbanos, right? Even though you didn't become tummy actually, but eventually eating korbanos, except by mezabat. Any other type of aninus, mourning of any sort, doesn't have those halachic limitations. Tani, we learned Yom Shmua ki Yom Kvura. The day you hear of a death is like the day that of the burial of a person died. Lekera, they have to do kriya. Uli ibun, they have to be in Abelus. Ulasfira Shiva, and to count 7 days of mourning. Sfira Shalashim, and now 30 days of mourning, according to Felechel B'Kachim, Harei K'Kutei Atzamos. And the line in manuscript adds here, V'Teva V'Eichel B'Kachim, and the commentator adds Ba'erev. Right? You can, it's like, which of course is very, very difficult. When it's asked, Yom HaKippurim can be, is that the status? Okay, but okay. So the first one is going to deal with this about this Arab business, right? So you can be you can eat table eichel b'kachim where. So the Gemara says Likutei Atzamos table eichel b'kachim, and here the Gemara has again b'erev. Likutei Atzamos, you don't wait till nightfall. You have to wait till nightfall. So I say it's a little bit of a difficult answer. Okay, we're talking about where it was nifter after Chashecha, that nevertheless, even though it's after nightfall, you might think you have to wait the some next day. For some reason, though, you can go to make one eat kachim immediately. Okay, but now let's get to the more difficult part. V'zev is that toivlin v'oichlin es, and Chaim changes where it says you're peschain kachim, because that's Lashon Brisa. But toivlin v'oichlin kachim l'erev. Right? They go to the mikveh and they can eat kachim at night. Now that's a direct contradiction to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said, "Oinin tova chapitzko l'erev avalo b'kachim." Right? You can't eat kachim. Actually, although the Mishnah is talking about actually aninus. So for the Korban it sounds like that he holds in our Mishnah where it says Oinen. Even though the Kvura is during the day, they still were machmir by at night after the Kvura that the Kachim can't eat, only Korban Pesach. And therefore, the one is asking, how can say the Kachim are Toivo B'Eicha B'Layla? Not true. According to Moshe, it sounds like no. If it's Nikra during the day, then it wouldn't be a problem, right? The fact that, because now it's after nightfall. The fact, even by regular kachim, but here it's talking about it's not a question on Mishnah, but it's about it was still only at night, and the question rather is the question rather is from where it was nikra at night itself, whereas the night itself. So the night itself. So then the question is, if you're saying the kavura, like we just said, how can possibly eat that during the night? What's the kavura took place during chashecha? So that's the question according to him. It says a kavura ochlim b'kachim, right? The kavura happened at night, right? So according to b'kachim, so according to Karmeda, it should be kavura ochlim b'kachim ba'erev. It says during the day. How can you catch him at night? They only were matir and oinen to eat at night afterwards by Korban Pesach. They're matir our Mishnah, but not by regular korbanos. And then along comes the Moshe. Rather says he doesn't have to get sensi berav. It just you just buried him, right, at night. So therefore, how can you be kachim? So when you say you're right, that can't be the case. Again, according to can't be the case where I'll tell you about where it's the day of the kvura, it's the night following it. According to the Moshe, can't be talking about a case where it's at night and the kvura is at night, but rather Tatei Shmir. They're both about by Shmir. In other words, it's not talking about Kavura, Yom HaKvura, when it says Yom HaShvur, Yom HaKvura, but rather it's they're both talking about days of Shmur. What are the days? The two types of Shmur. Shamalo Shemeslo Mes Me'esmo. If you heard that somebody died yesterday, Teva Chabakashim and Ikachim. Shamashi Slaktolo at Samas Mesmo, and we've heard that bones are gathered the day before. Right, so also Teva B'Kachim you can go to the mikveh and eat kachim. Okay, so the as Korban says, Abba Shishamash and Meslo Mes Hayom, or Shita Tzamos Hayom, other B'Kachim La Erev. You can eat kachim that night. Abba Shnikvar Meso Bayom and Chab B'Kachim La Erev. According to can't eat kachim at night. According to Moshe, we said it's only if the Gvura itself was actually took place at night. Okay, the says Gemara, Tanya, Mother Army Mokum. If you just transport an aron from place to place, there is no issue of likutei atzamos because the bones are whole and intact in the aron. Amar Rabbi Yaakov said, that Amar ba'aron shel Evan. That's if it's an aron of Evan. The Moshe says, Vasav Garis in the parallel sugi, it says, in Moikotin, Shayish, a marble aron. Shouldn't sky marble because it's last long time. Avron shel eight, but a wooden aron became a cave since the rats and stuff gets, I guess, mixed into the wood chips. Harayz the Kamlaka, it's almost a cover. It's like you're gathering the bones. So the stuff gets mixed together. It's supposed to marble where it all made separate. So again, Amar Rabbi Shul Evan, Amar Orange Shul 8, Yesh Shul Likutei Tzamos. Amar Rabbi Yosef, said, I feel Orange Shul 8 and Shul Likutei Tzamos. No, even a Orange Shul 8 does not have the issue of Likutei Tzamos. Ezo Likutei Tzamos, when it's Rez Likutei Tzamos, Hamaviran Ba'apikirsin. You take in sheets, Memokom. Says the Korban Bnei Moshe, it's supposed to feel Orange Shul 8, but because it's starting of a chaluk, you take in a sheet or in some sort of other garment, makam l'makam. Babish, and he says, Babish and his basu, in the following line, Nishtapshim, he starts a girsa. Kan, the girsa here is distorted, because guys, Moikata, Kan, and Sham, the Ikos, the girsa in Moikata. The Kamar, it says, Ezli Kudamas Chule, what is considered to be Likutei Atzamos, Makom, and then it says, "Goes to tiny cane." It says afterwards, "Likutei Atzamos, Malakit Etzem Yisaka Basar." So it says that you Likutei Atzamos when you gather bone by bone after the flesh is rotted away. Amadein Likutei Atzamos, Malakit Atzamos Atzman Etzem. So it sounds like there is no such halacha so except when you're gathering bones. Bone by bone. Now we take them all together in an aron. So that's going to we'll read the way it is in front of us. So Chagai b'Shem said, "Likat Samas Kishmur," gathering bone by bone by bone. Taiki and Likat Samas Malakit Etzem Mi Sheisaka Labosar. It's only when you gather bone by bone after the flesh has been rotted. So we have a few. He argues. He says that no matter what order it is, it's still going to be Likutei Tzamos. Whatever Likutei Tzamos is, Tani ain't Shmuel Likutei Tzamos. There's no Yom Shmur for Likud Atzamos. In other words, you don't hear on the day of Likud Atzamos, there's no Abelus. It's interesting. Recently, we had cases where, because of the war, so Mason had to be buried temporarily in Chutzlarts. So they would not tell them when they transferred them to Eretz Yisrael. Because if they told them on they transferred to Eretz Yisrael, so then the day of the Shmur, the day that they transferred them, they'd have to sit Shiva. But they told them afterwards. Because afterwards, so then there is no Shiva, as the Gemara says here. There's no Yom Shur Likud Atzamos. Till the next day. If you heard the same day, Yesh Shishmil Likud Atzamos, and then you have to sit Shiva temporarily while they're doing the transfer of the boats. So the Gemara says, V'yesh Shir Likud Atzamos, is there a specific Shir of Abelus, specific time allocation? Tanen Nikumche. Kumche is here. Ain't you Likud Atzamos? It's there's no time. It's just at the moment. There's no specific amount that's happening at the moment. You don't do it after. There's no time frame afterwards. The Kifra Likrali Sabel Krabiacha. He told him you have to do Kriya and Avelus by Likud Atzamos, and V'Shoi Tamos Rabbi Yossi, and not to be Metame like Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef said before, I feel orange shades Emo Mishum Likud Atzamos. So the question is what exactly the connection is. I should have really pointed out the line before. It says Likrali Saba Krabiacha, right, where Yaakov was going to say before that Orange Evan. There's no Likud Atzamos, but Orange Eitz Yesh with Kshum Likud Atzamos. So it was evidently Orange Eitz, and therefore he said you have to be the Kriya and be Misabel, because it's considered to be Likud Atzamos, like Rabbi Yacha. I think I said a moment ago, it's like Rabbi Yacha holds that way. No, it's like Rabbi Yacha holds that, but in Orange Eitz there isn't the Likud Atzamos. But nevertheless, he also basking like Rabbi Yosef that even though that Moshe says, even though Rabbi Hillel the Kufa was a Kohen, and this is a type of Kvura, therefore he should be allowed to go participate in Likud Atzamos. No, since it's a Ron Shal Eitz, right? He said, well, according to Rabbi Yosef, it's not really considered to be a type of Kvura, so therefore you can't go and be Matame for them. So Pascal Rabbi Yacha, that it's an Orange Eitz is like it has a din Likud Atzamos, you should do Kriya Avelus. But Rabbi Yosef, he doesn't have a din of Likud Atzamos, and therefore it's not like a Kvura, and therefore you can't be Matame and take part in the transfer. Tani, we learned the Bryce of Likud Atzamos ain't Omer Aleim Kinim. Nay, you don't say Lamentations. Don't say the Birchas Avelim, the brachas which Avelim said, and also Tanchumei Avelim. And this more explains. Elam brachas Avelim, what about Avelim? Shomrim Beis HaKnesses. The special brachas they would say in a shul, Baruch Menachem Avelim. And Elam Tanchumei Avelim, Hashem Amim Shura, which is a Mocha Menachem. Tani, Avomer Aleim Dvorim. Nevertheless, you can say words. Mal Dvorim. What are the right words? We're going to get somebody kilusin, the praise of the dead. It has to be. And so now we go back to our Mishnah, and the article I think is even a header. Yeah, no, there isn't. Just do that. Matam the Beis Shammai. What's the logic of Beis Shammai? Beis Shammai in our Mishnah said that you can immediately eat the Korban Pesach. The ger can immediately eat the Korban Pesach. So it says Atem Shvichem. It says, you and your captives who you brought back to you from the war against Midian. So the just like you don't have tumah, didn't have tumah until you became Jews. There's no tumah. So too your shvuim, they didn't have any tumah until they came into the bris. So they were Megayah, not Ptome, didn't go into any tumah, they immediately go to Korban Pesach. Matan Beisil, what's the Svar Beisil? Atem, Ushvichem, yes, you and your captives. Ma'atem tu mazaya v'shvi v'shlishi v'shvi. But just like you became Tomei by waging war, you have to go through Paraduma. Ashvichem tu mazaya v'shlishi v'shvi. They also require Hazaya shlishi v'shvi, as if they were Tomei tu mazmeis, because the Parashmina Orlik, Parashmina Kever. Venom Chuvar. It's not the right, though. Chuvar very often means it's not the right. It's not clear. It's not clear, but it means it's not the right. So it's a smach the mama. Damar Bechir Bar Yosef Gido Bar Minyam Shem Rav said May Besil Shim Over Bezarkas Adam Shul. It's that if you did this Rikas Nam on the Ger and the Gaya, but that it is he's Yotzakar Pesach and doesn't make Pesach Sheni. Okay, that I'm not sure make Pesach Sheni anyway because it wasn't Tomei. So let's don't do Pesach Sheni just that he's Yotzei the mitzvah. No, it's more. So Moshe says that you can even eat it that night. The ger could also eat it. Not do Pesach Sheni, of course. The Bavli, it's coming down, says the reason why Chomer goes to tomb on the ger is because the question is that before Megari might have touched the mace, and even though it was a Nachis Nabakabo Tuma, nevertheless he might come make a mistake next year and think that the mace can be toivo by Chapischa. Okay. And it brings down here that Vasema says it could be the Beit Shammai would be Moida in this Gzeira, but other Kochim, only by current Pesach, they were Mako. Okay, that brings us to the end for today.